Good morning to everybody. This is Stefano Giusmazarin, Geopolitics from Italy. Today we have like a special guest from Ukraine, from Kiev, Kateryna Bilyk, and I asked her to participate to our channel that it's normally about geopolitics, but I wanted to have some, let's say, personal feelings from people that is living in Ukraine now and after this year. So if anybody have any type of question for Kateryna, you can send it on the chat or in the comments. I will send it to her. And today it's a sort of a chatting. We will make like 20-30 minutes only to understand for the Western people and also for the Asian or whatever will see the video, what is the real feeling of the people living in Ukraine. Kateryna is a model. She was the Miss Princess Ukraine 2020, Miss Globe, a lot of other things. So this is an interesting part because she was in the modeling and media sector, and she is also. And she didn't flew out of Ukraine. She's still living there. So this is interesting. And Kateryna, so just some questions for you, and then we will chat a little bit. I collected in advance. Like, okay, can you describe your life a little bit before 24th of February 2022? What you did before, and we talk later about after.
Hello, thanks first of all for inviting me to the live stream and the same to the interview. It's a really big honor for me. So before the war, before the 24th of February 2022, actually my life was enough, let's say, I was enough satisfied with my life. So I got quite lots of job in model career. I also helped my father with running the agricultural holding. So partly, even right now I help him, but so still at that time, if you're talking about the financial situation, business possibilities, and the same time, let's say, if you're talking about some daily and like usual things, of course everything was much more easier, and yeah, sure, so it was much more opportunity than the right now. So 24th February changed everything, when I saw the first rocket which was flying, above my house. So, I realized so something changed, and looks like there is no any comeback to the past. Looks like the life changed so radically. So it means all of us, we need somehow to cope with this, But if to be honest, of course, it took for me quite lots of time. I couldn't say that immediately, I realized the current situation, For me, it was a huge shock at the same time as for my family, and even for my small brother. I have the brother 8 years old, so for him it was even bigger shock than just for me. The 24th February started for us with the crisis, we saw like deep emotions. We did lots of calls to our relatives, to the friends, to get any information if they are okay or not. At that time, I got some friends, in Mariupol, and unfortunately, the people in Mariupol, for them, that morning started even in more worse way than just for me. I was in Kiev at that time. So that's why like reality changed so radically and rapidly, and at the same time, if someone like gave me any prognose or let's say forecast, or at least any like fortune predictor told me like, Kate, it could be the war, if to be honest, I'm not sure I would believe.
Okay, so you already talk about it, but what changed after and during this year of the Russian invasion, like in your personal life? About, for example, you already said about work opportunities that are less, but like personal feelings. Why I asked to you? Because I have a friend that works in, she's a journalist in Adin Plus Adin TV channel. And for me was I was shocked that, for example, she said to me that when she was hearing the siren of like air attack, at the beginning she was going to the bunker to protect herself. After, no, because she got used about the alarm, and so it's like also the psychological problem about this war. I think it's very deep for people that don't understand. If you can share.
Yeah, the same time for me, when just the war started, all the time I run away to the bunker, to the shelter, somehow try to protect myself and my family. But we also lots of air siren for that time. I feel maybe over than 1,000 air siren for that year, the previous year. And yeah, as you know, so already is 1 year we have the war in Ukraine, unfortunately. So if to be honest, so less and less people right now go into the shelters, to the bunker in case of the air siren. And if to be honest, it's extra risk. I don't think it's something right, I need to be proud of. No, that's some way how my psyche cope with all the things, because it's really tiring all the time. I mean, half a day stayed in the shelter or in a bunker, so in a basement for some people. So that's where, of course, so actually the way how I protect myself changed. So we're not so radical right now. We're talking right now not about all the people, especially if you're talking about the people in Kharkiv. So Kharkiv is heavily shelled all the days, So Kharkiv, the same time, people who live close to the Bakhmut, Donetsk, Lugansk, of course, these people living in the basement, unfortunately. So luckily, Kyiv was successfully defended, so no any risk about the next try of the Russians to occupy Kyiv, despite the Russians announced it many times. But so we personally believe that there is almost no chance that could happen, So that's why, if to be honest, we're quite skeptical about all the things. But if to be honest, we're all the tired of this war. We're all the tired, to run away all the time from the rockets. We're tired from all this news. We're tired from the killed people, unfortunately, from the murdered people, from the murdered heroes of the Ukraine. We're tired all the time and at the same time we're crying all the time deeply inside, that, so lots of people, so lots of young, patriotic people died for this war, died as defenders. So if to be honest, mostly we're tired of the news, we're tired of the war, we're tired of all the time we need to do anything. But from the another one side, there is no other way. So if we give up, if we say oh, we're really tired, we're really exhausted, we have no any power, no any energy, to defend ourselves. We just wanted to sit and to rest. So in this way, unfortunately, we will become the easy target for the Russians. So that's where, even that despite all of us, we feel extremely tiredness in the society, we feel tired in any ways. Psychological tiredness, mental tiredness. But so even despite all the things, we still continue doing anything to defend ourselves. We're still donating the money to the Ukrainian forces. Personally, me, I continue doing the charity job. So we donated already the money for the thermal wizard for one of the guests of my regular live streams. As you know, I'm also doing the live streams. So that's why, even despite all the things, we still continue doing anything what will make our victory quicker, and closer to us.
Okay, thank you. Another interesting question, because I have a lot of friends in Eastern Europe, let's say in the former SSSR, because I also went many times, also Ukraine, I went in Russia, everywhere. And in your personal experience, do you have some Russian friends before? And how did this conflict impact on your personal relations? How I asked to you, because I have a lot of friends also in Russia, and I think, in my personal opinion, that the Russian society is divided in two parts. Let's say the people that is with Soviet mindset approve the war, let's say, in a synthesis. The people that traveled and saw the world and went a little bit outside, tried to escape from Russia. For example, we will have tomorrow one live stream with Konstantin from Inside Russia, that it's a very big channel in YouTube, and he's a professional and is in Uzbekistan. You have a lot of Russians that are against the war and the government that actually are in Turkey, Georgia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan. In your personal opinion, did you have some connection with, I don't know, Russian friends or whatever? And this is like cut it off, or we are still in contact?
Okay, unfortunately right now not, but the first maybe 2 months of the war, yeah, I got some, not friends, but let's say the people whom I know by person from Russia, well, of course we talked with them. Personally, me, I tried to explain them what's going on here. So unfortunately, most of them were blind. I'm not blaming them right now, but anyway. So at that time, these people were really blind, and for them, it was maybe better to say like, I don't see anything. I don't understand what's going on. But things got. There are quite lots of Russians who already got, the clear understanding what actually the Russian army doing in Ukraine. So they try and there are the people who actually go into some protesting in Russia, and despite that Putin regime is really terroristic, and actually, so quite lots of the people are really victims of this regime. So we can make some, like, not conclusion, but let's say comparison with the Hitler regime. So, after the Second World War, quite lots of German people also told, like, actually we were not with the Hitler, so actually we were just the victims of this regime. So that's at the same time what I feel right now. So quite lots of the Russians are somehow blind, or maybe they are the victims of this regime. So thanks God, there are quite lots of people who really understand what's going on here. And at the same time, so there are the people who escaped, who already escaped not to take part in the military operation, which actually was announced by the Russian Federation. So for me, it's not a military operation. For me, it's war. It's quite lots of murdered Ukrainians. For me, it's the war which actually was started by the Russia. According to the Russian law, it's a military operation. So if you're talking about the international law, it has unfortunately different background, So anyway, I feel it's a good thing that quite lots of people escaping from the war. Just because less people will be ready to join the Russian army. So I feel it will be closer to the Ukrainian victory. So the more people will understand what actually the Russian army is doing here, so the quicker will be the Ukrainian victory. So for me,
Kateryna, if I can ask to you, from which city were your contact? When I will see you, like it's Moscow, Peter, or
Moscow, St. Petersburg, Irkutsk, so Krasnodar, Tyumen.
Okay.
So quite lots of people. So it's not only the central part of the Russia.
I'm asking to you because it's mainly like big cities. This is what the other thing that I wanted to explain, like to the people that don't know nothing about, let's say, the Russian world. It's that the Russian society, it's very divided in, let's say, 3 groups. Like Moscow and
the
Peter,
most problem,
Moscow and Peter. The Kateryna, it's a little like too close. Moscow and Peter, it's a little bit like, let's say, another part.
I agree with you. Yeah, completely.
Then you have the big cities that are like, for example, Kazan, Ufa, Rostov, blah blah blah. But also Rostov, it's not so big compared to others. But also in these big cities, you have, let's say, a quality of life that is not bad in Russia.
Yeah, right.
The problem is like because you understand Russian, but it's like living the revenue, no? So it's like to live in the countryside. We have a lot of villages and cities with. It's very interesting that, for example, there is still over 40 millions of Russian that it's without the black water collection. So you have a huge division in the Russian society, and this huge part, because 40 million, it's like to have one Ukraine that it's in the countryside.
Yeah.
And actually, you don't have 40 millions of people in Ukraine because a lot of people fled away. But imagine like Ukraine before February, and these people have the only information with first channel. They don't use internet. They don't use Telegram. So if they received any information about Solovyov, it's like the Bible. So this is the very difficult thing to explain, because the Russian society also, for example, the Putin speech, it's for the internal viewers. It's not for the West. So because we understand that it's not true. but for the internal, let's say people, the people that is living in the country, it's important to listen like the patriotic things. We are winning, blah blah blah. But the other question that I wanted to ask to you, it's like. It's a question that I say to all my Ukrainian friends. Like, what could be in your mind a good deal for the end of the war? Why I ask to you this? Because there is an ideal answer and a practical answer. When I ask to all my Ukrainian friends, they say to me, the end of the war is when the last Russian is out of Ukraine.
Yeah, right. I agree with them, actually. But it's a deal.
Okay, but the problem is that to end the war, we need the deal, because the problem is technically, it's that Russia has a bigger population also. And the problem is that you and the Russian, let's say the Slavic people, has a huge ability to survive. If Italians will make a war with Ukraine, we will lose, because we are not able to survive. Ukrainians are very strong, but the problem, in my opinion, is let's say that you have to make a deal with the two parts. For example, we have a lot of population that lived in the last 8 years in the Donbass, in the part that was DNL and NR before the February 24. What do you think of that part?
The west part? Ukraine?
Let's say Lugansk, Donetsk, but not the actual occupied part, Zaporizhia, Kherson, or whatever, but Donetsk and Crimea, because this is, I think, that will be
eastern part. Sorry, it's eastern part of Ukraine.
No, I know. No, I say not the southern part, not Zaporizhia, not Kherson, but the eastern part, Lugansk, Donetsk, and Crimea. Because I think at the end they were saying the tactical of the Russian, it's historically like to ask more to have less. I want 5 provinces, but then maybe Crimea, it's enough.
It's quite provocative question, because Ukraine, according to the Act of Independence from 1991, so Crimea always was the part of the Ukraine. So there are some, let's say, fake Russian historical who believe Crimea was the Russian. So actually this question is quite disputed. But anyway, so I believe so Crimea must return to Ukraine in diplomatical way. So there is only one way. So there are some people who believe that the Ukrainian army can go to the Crimea and somehow to take it back. So who knows? Let's see how it goes. Personally, me, I'm not a military expert. For me it's quite provocative to say such things. But I believe only if Ukraine will win, so Crimea will come back to Ukraine. I don't believe it will become earlier, unfortunately. So maybe some people could disagree with me. It could be, of course. If you're talking about the necessary, thank you,
Kateryna. No, it's. I wanted only to ask you. Remember your year of birth, only for the public, so I will explain you why.
1996.
So you're 1996. So you born Ukrainian.
Of course,
this is okay, but then you will see why I'm asking to you, because like, let's say this is like the documents for the referendum of December 1991. This is a thing that I'm showing a lot, because the people don't know a lot of official documents. So it's interesting. This one was made on August 24, 1991. And this was like the results. Like, do you confirm the act of proclamation of on the independence of Ukraine? Yes, I confirm. No, I not confirm. So it was very clear. And this was the results. And as you can see, also, I don't know if you ever saw the official results of 1991.
The first time I saw. So yeah.
Okay. So you can see that Lugansk and Donetsk was 83% for independence from Soviet Union. So it was not as lower majority.
Actually, 95, 83, but Crimea just 50.
Okay, but no, but imagine that Crimea technically is, let's say, Tatar and Russian ethnical group more than Ukrainians. It's the only oblast in Ukraine with a majority of this type. So the Russian, let's say the Soviet government at that time was expecting that Crimea, and also if you look Sevastopol, was 57%. So Sevastopol was voting to go with Ukraine, not with Soviet Union. And if we see a little bit like the no, and we can
definitely
see
no, you mean, yeah, definitely
okay, this is no. We can see that also in the region of the oblast with more no, that was Crimea, was 42%.
Yeah.
So less than 50. And Lugansk, Donetsk, and Kharkiv, you can see it was less than 13%. And also Odessa, that for Russian it's like Naples for Italy. Okay. It's interesting that also in Odessa it was only 11% that was pro-Soviet Union at that time. This thing, it's very interesting because there is a lot of diaries of Chernayev, that was a counselor of Gorbachev, that at the end of the 80s, they were already talking about the problem of Donbass and Crimea. So it's very old things, 30 years. So it's not about, oh, it's 8 years of war, 2014, children of Donbass, blah, blah, blah. We know that it's all propaganda and whatever. But let me ask you, but the deal that I asked to you, it's because, in my opinion, there is one case that it's very interesting for Ukrainians to study. I will send to you. There is two provinces in Italy that it's called Trentino Alto Adige. Historically, were a part of Austria before the First World War, and so they are German speaking. Let's say that it's like Donbass, more Russian speaking, Ukrainian. We have still this region, and this region it's with an autonomous part, so it's provinces, and they maintain more taxes and blah blah blah, and they can have a school with multi languages. So you have Ladin, that it's a local dialect, German, Italian, English, whatever you want. And I think that a good deal could be also like, do you want autonomy? You have autonomy under Ukraine, not under Russian Federation, and you can maintain your language, blah blah blah, whatever. And
but it was autonomy. It was autonomy in the part of Ukraine for the Crimea.
No. I was talking about Donbass.
About the Donbass. It could be
because LNR and DNR. I think that because it's very complicated, and the fun things, this is the question that I also wanted. I have the last 3 questions for you.
Okay.
One is when you talk with your family, what language do you use? Ukrainian or Russian?
Ukrainian, of course.
But it's not, of course, because for example. It's to show to the Russian viewers. I have a friend, my journalist friend, that is working in Adin Plus Adin. She's completely Ukrainian, but she's from Odessa.
So in Odessa, I thought she's talking Russian more than
she's talking Russian and Ukrainian both, but in family Russian. So this is only to show to the people that it was not forbidden to speak Russian in Ukraine.
Of course, no.
And this isn't like another, let's say, myth that Ukrainians are bad. They prohibit. Okay. So, question for you: like, what are your dreams? How do you see yourself in 10 years?
Actually, no so concrete ideas, because even what I have right now, it was my dream many years ago. So, if to be honest, it's quite provocative question, you know. Anyway, I will continue to do some like public job, let's say. So I'm planning maybe later to do more like charity activity, to make maybe any. So actually, you know, I'm more interested in some like public activity. What I mean, so to protect someone's rights, you know, to make some speeches which can protect some groups of the people, you know. I don't see myself as a blogger anyway. So actually, even right now, I don't feel like I'm a blogger. Despite I have the TikTok, which is over like has over like 360,000 followers, but so still, you know, I never thought about myself as a blogger, you know. So of course, I wish that, it will be soon the victory of the Ukraine, and I will have more possibilities for me as entrepreneur to do like more business, to open maybe new startups, to invest money in any new like businesses, of course. So I wish it will be better, the cash flow, of course. Of course, I see myself as a mom. I see I see myself, you know, in the family in any way. So I want to be successful as a woman, first of all. So not like the businessman, or like, I don't know, as a like public figure, let's say so.
Okay, one from your childhood, like what is the impact, or was the impact of Russian media cartoons Multik in your childhood? What do you remember about it? Like, for people that don't know about it, like Cheburaska, No Pagadi, these things.
Yeah, quite lots of the Russian cartoons. Fortunately or unfortunately, I watched in my childhood. So actually, I'm not blaming for such things my parents. So there were some
Kateryna,
not so
I'm
wide
asking
choice.
to you why?
Yeah.
Because people don't know in Europe what is Cheburaska or No Pagadi.
Ah,
Because
okay.
for me, when I saw Cheburaska the first time, for me it's very sad. So it's a cartoon for adult people, not for children. Because
You know, actually, yeah. So because of the Soviet Union, you know, this the psychologists maybe who created this or somehow were produced. I mean, who produced these cartoons? So they thought like about the children, like about the adults. So that's why like all these movies are so like deep, and they unfortunately, especially, you know, I love this cartoon about the swan, you know, who actually was firstly as a duck, and after that, so all the people got that he's a swan, you know.
what
I
is the
don't
name?
remember. Sorry.
What is the name of it? But it's Russian.
Yeah, it's Russian, yeah. So це називається гидке каченя на українській мові, на російській я не скажу так швидко. Okay, it's ugly duckling.
Ugly duck. Okay. But
Yeah,
there
so
is
I
a lot.
mean,
Also, Kolobok.
Kolobok, yeah, sure.
No, but it's I don't know. Also, with the end, it's every time sad. I'm like, if I was
Yeah,
a
I
child.
cried all the time. I cried. I mean, so all these cartoons and all these like fairy tales for the kids were so like emotional, and at the same time somehow it was hurting. You know, hurting to watch it. You know, I cried all the time. My mom needed to explain me anything, so it wasn't so easy. You know, like as okay, so Disney's movies, they always bring some positivity, smile on the face of the kids. But the Russian cartoons, I mean the Soviet cartoons, I mean, so it makes us felt like anything wrong was with us, you know. So like
The
we
life
must
at the end is bad. It's like no, it's tough, not bad, but it's interesting because this is why I think you grow up more, let's say, stronger than us.
Yeah.
Let's say our childhood was like, oh, fairy tale, and so Eastern Europe it's more like
Yeah, to
so
believe in something positive, to believe in like I don't know, in some good witchcraft, maybe, to believe in something, yeah, positive at least, you know. For us it was always like to expect anything wrong could happen, you know. So it was also deeply influenced, I mean, in negative side.
So it was very interesting talking with you. So I hope that the people enjoyed. There was a lot of comments. Like it was Paul said, the ugly ducking was.
Yeah, right. Ugly duckling, yeah.
And say, I like your TikTok and Instagram.
Thank you,
Paul,
Paul.
a lot of fun for you. So, and thank you for your time. I hope that everything will end soon in a good way, so you can realize your dreams. So, thank you. Stay 1 second after, and to all the people that want to post any comments, question, just use the comment under the video, and I hope to see Kateryna live soon, maybe in Italy. So thank you so much for the public.
Thank you for invitation. Thank you. It was honor for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.